They say money changes people, but nobody ever tells you what it turns you into after it takes everything else away. The night I realized that I was sitting alone in a penthouse that cost more than my entire childhood neighborhood combined, staring at a wall of security monitors watching a woman everyone else thought was invisible do something I was told could never happen. My hands were shaking. My coffee went cold, and for the first time in years I felt afraid. Not of losing control, but of what control had already turned me into. My name is Daniel Crow, and for a long time people only saw the billionaire part. They didn't see the man who stopped believing in people. They didn't see the father who slept with one eye open listening for sounds that never came. They didn't see the kid who grew up being told he wasn't enough, that he'd never amount to anything, and who promised himself that if he ever got power, no one would ever hurt him again. Funny thing is that promise almost destroyed the only thing I had left. The house used to be loud. Not rich loud, not parties and champagne loud, but real loud. The sound of two boys arguing over toys, laughing until they couldn't breathe, chasing each other down the hall while their mom pretended to be annoyed and secretly loved every second of it. Then came the crash. One rainy night. One phone call. One doctor standing in a hospital hallway who couldn't look me in the eye. My wife didn't make it. My sons did. But they came home in wheelchairs, and the noise never came back. I tried everything. Private specialists flown in from 3 countries. Experimental therapies no insurance would touch. Machines that promised hope and delivered nothing. When none of it worked, I did what I'd always done best. I tightened my grip. Cameras everywhere. Contracts thicker than novels. Background checks that went back further than most people's memories. In 3 years, 6 caregivers came and went. 1 leaked photos. 1 stole medication. 1 quit without a word. Each time, a little more of me shut down. Trust stopped being an option. It became a liability. Then Clara Hayes showed up. She wasn't what I expected. No nervous energy, no fake smiles, no desperate eagerness to please. Just a quiet woman in her early 30s with a small bag and steady eyes. She spoke calmly, listened more than she talked, and signed the contract without blinking. I remember thinking this one's dangerous. The calm ones always are. I watched her constantly, every feed, every angle. Waiting. 2 weeks passed. Nothing. No mistakes, no red flags. Until one night, both my boys woke up crying. I was already halfway down the hall when I heard her voice through the monitor. Soft, steady, singing. My chest tightened because I knew that song. My wife used to hum it when the boys couldn't sleep. No one else knew it. I stood there like an idiot, heart pounding, listening like I'd heard a ghost. That night I searched her room. I won't pretend I felt bad about it. Privacy was a luxury I stopped respecting years ago. In the top drawer I found a photo. A wrecked car, emergency lights, Clara in a first responder jacket kneeling in the rain. On the back, a date. The same night my life split in half. And beneath it a sentence that felt like a punch to the chest. He asked me to promise I'd find them. She was there. The night of the crash. She wasn't just a caregiver. She was the EMT who pulled my sons out of twisted metal while I was still asleep in a warm bed, unaware my world was ending. I dug deeper. News archives, incident logs, hospital records. That's when I found the part she never told anyone. She'd been pregnant. 6 months. The trauma sent her into early labor. Her baby lived less than half an hour. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I watched her differently after that. Not hunting for lies, but for meaning. In the playroom, she helped my son Noah lift his arm, coaxing him through exercises he hated. When he failed, she didn't push. She told him his mom would be proud. He looked up at her and asked how she knew. Clara paused just long enough for something raw to flicker across her face, then said she met her once a long time ago. That was the moment I should have spoken. Asked. Thanked her. Trusted her. Instead, fear took over. Fear that my kids would love her. Fear that if they did, losing her would destroy them all over again. I told myself I was protecting them. That's what control sounds like when it lies to you. I confronted her in the kitchen one night after the boys were asleep. I accused her of manipulation, of using my family to heal her own grief. The words came out sharp and ugly. I saw them land. I saw her flinch. She didn't yell. She didn't defend herself. She just listened. When I told her to leave, her face broke in a way I'll never forget. Then my sons heard. Their voices came down the hall, small and shaking, asking where she was going, asking her not to leave. I stood there frozen, saying nothing. Clara packed her bag and walked out. The door closed, and the house felt emptier than it ever had. The next 3 days were hell. The boys stopped eating, stopped talking. They didn't cry. They just stared at the door like they were waiting for someone who wasn't coming back. On the 3rd night, Noah stopped breathing. I panicked. My hands shook so badly I dropped my phone. I didn't call emergency services. I called Clara. She answered on the first ring. She was there in minutes. Barely dressed, hair a mess, no hesitation. She moved with the kind of calm you can't fake. She cleared his airway, gave rescue breaths, brought him back. I watched the woman I'd accused, the woman I'd thrown out, save my son's life. At the hospital, sitting under fluorescent lights, something inside me finally cracked. I saw myself clearly for the first time. Not as a protector, not as a provider, but as a man so afraid of loss that he'd become cruel. Control hadn't kept my son safe. Love had, and love was standing 3 chairs away from me, exhausted, grieving, and still willing to show up. Months passed. Slowly, the house changed. Laughter crept back in. The boys grew stronger. I learned to let go, inch by inch. One morning, while I burned eggs in the kitchen, Noah laughed and called Clara Mom. The word hung in the air. I expected fear. What I felt instead was relief. Here's the part that still divides people when I tell this story. Clara didn't replace their mother. She honored her. She kept a promise made in the darkest moment of both their lives. And I had to learn that strength isn't about building walls, it's about letting the right people inside. So here's my question for you. Was I wrong to push her away, even if I thought I was protecting my children? Or was she wrong to come into our lives without telling the whole truth? Where do you draw the line between fear and control, between love and possession? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you've ever seen someone judged, underestimated, or pushed aside because of assumptions, share that too. Sometimes the real villains aren't the people we fear. Sometimes it's the fear itself.